regrets of maturity.
This assignment was locked March 9th at 11:59 p.m. 2. Paralegal staff. From, Supervising Attorney. Re. Dunn v. Canto. Our client is Robert Canto. About 3 months ago Robert was alone at a bar on a Friday night. There he met a woman named Pamela Dunn. After they got acquainted for a while, Pamela told Robert that she was constantly stressed out because she has lots of credit card debt and the collection agencies were calling her about past repayments. Robert told Pamela not to worry and that he would pay her credit cards off for her. A few days later, Pamela told Robert that she would gather up all her credit card bills and bring them to him. Robert indicated to Pamela that he didn't know what she was talking about and that he would not pay her credit card debt. Yesterday Robert was served with a summons and complaint. Pamela is suing him for breach of contract. It has been many years since I have done a contracts case, so I need you to bring me up to date. Please prepare an interoffice memo for me in the IRAC format. I need to know what Ms. Dunn has to prove in order to make a prima facie case, and if Pamela has any other claims she might bring.
George Hoyda Intro to Civil Law, March 9, 2022. We are tasked with defending Robert Canto on a breach of contract verbal agreement case. To defend, we have to examine two things. 1. Is there a prima facie standard? 2. Did Mr. Canto agree to, and breach a verbal contract with Ms. Dunn, making him liable for damages against her? 1. Prima facie. The meaning of prima facie is based on the first impression accepted as correct until proved otherwise, i.e., an agreement that is sufficient to raise a presumption or establish a fact unless it is rebutted or disproved. First, we must consider the 4 building blocks of any valid contract. 1. Agreement. Mrs. Dunn claims that there was a verbal agreement between her and Mr. Canto for him to pay all of her credit card bills. According to the parole evidence rule, parties' course of dealings refers to a situation where two parties have a history of working together and entering into numerous contracts with each other, and the court can look to the history to clarify or interpret their written expressions. In this case, Mr. Canto and Ms. Dunn made this alleged agreement the same night they met at a bar. That being the case, there is no prior history between the two to rely on the parole evidence rule. 2. Consideration. Something of value must be given by both parties. In this case, Ms. Dunn claims that Mr. Canto agreed to pay all of her credit card bills. However, there is no statement of anything being received by Mr. Canto in return for this generosity. Although Ms. Dunn is free to make as bad a deal as she wants, if this can be considered a deal, and not a gift, I think the fact that they have no history, and met at a bar when said deal was made, is enough for the court to void the contract for unconscionably. This remedy is found where this verbal contract would shock the conscience of the court, not only due to the fact that Mr. Canto seemingly receives nothing in return for this alleged verbal deal, with no parole evidence, but the fact of the environment itself where this alleged verbal deal took place. This leads us to the third building block of a contract. 3. Capacity. The fact of the matter is that this deal took place at a bar, meaning alcoholic beverages were being served. If Mr. Canto was intoxicated, under the influence of alcohol, this in of itself means he lacked the capacity to enter into a binding contract at all under these circumstances. 4. Legality. From the tearing down of the first 3 building blocks of a binding contract thus far, I see no legality in it. I question whether there are clean hands in this case at all. It may not necessarily cross the line of illegal, but it definitely treads the line of unethically taking advantage of an intoxicated person through questionable negotiations. RCW 19.36.110. Enforceability of credit agreements, effect of oral agreements, and partial performance. A credit agreement is not enforceable against the creditor unless the agreement is in writing and signed by the creditor. The rights and obligations of the parties to a credit agreement shall be determined solely from the written agreement, and any prior or contemporaneous oral agreements between the parties are superseded by, merged into, and may not vary the credit agreement. Partial performance of a credit agreement does not remove the agreement from the operation of this section. In conclusion, Ms. Dunn has no written agreement with Mr. Canto that would validate this verbal contract anyway due to RCW 19.36.110. In short, Ms. Dunn doesn't have a leg to stand on in court. Not only does her claim of a verbal contract not meet the building blocks of a binding agreement, consideration, or capacity, It also questions the legality itself since the RCW 19.36.110 require a credit agreement in order to be enforceable against the creditor, to be signed in writing and signed by the creditor, not verbally. IT's the law. Unfortunately for Ms. Dunn, she apparently out-hustled herself, and the best hustler won. She has no case. Tell her to beat it. Note: contributory negligence. Joke: sorry, couldn't resist.
We're going to be proctoring an exam this morning, and then both of us will be back this afternoon after lunch. I'm going to get your results and give you more information about the LSAT and the law school admissions process and how all of that works. So we're going to be doing all of that today. In other words, Jessica, I'll be here with you all day today. Before we get started with the formal instructions for the exam, some things that you should know. We're about to complete a 5-section, full-length LSAT exam. We're going to do all of the multiple choice sections. The exam that you're going to take differs from test day in that we are not going to complete a writing sample today. That is always the last section of the exam, it's section 6, and it is unscored. And Leo has asked us not to administer the writing exam today because it won't be scored. We're happy to comply with that. It makes your time a little bit shorter on the exam. So we're going to complete the 5 multiple choice sections today. The test you're going to take today is Prep Test 36. This is the December 2001 LSAT exam. So this is proximate, or next to, the best LSAT exam. Prep Test 35. Anybody know why that one's the best? For a totally personal reason. It is right after 9/11, that's true. The most closely administered. That was my LSAT. The one that I took. So that one's my favorite. It got me into law school at the University of Michigan. So you're going to be doing Prep Test 36. It's pretty good, but not the best. So we're going to take that exam today. We're going to, while you're having lunch, we are going to score the exams for you, so you're going to get your results back right after the test today. Some strategic things for you to know. The test booklets are for you to keep. So you're going to take that with you, and that also means, just like on test day, you get to write in the test booklet while you take the exam. So you should feel free to write all over that. You're going to take that with you. The only thing we're going to take from you is your grid, so that we can get that scanned. Everything else is for you too. Another strategic point, some of you may or may not know, but on the LSAT, there is no penalty for wrong answers. So if you don't know the answer to a question, or if you're short on time, it is in your best interest for your score simply to guess. You can't lose points for wrong answers on this exam, unlike notoriously the SAT, where there's a penalty for wrong answers. This test does not work that way. So if you don't know, or if you're short on time, it's better to guess than to leave it blank. You can't lose points. on the exam. You can only fail to gain them. So those are a couple strategic points for you to know. I have some formal proctoring instructions that we're going to read through, talk about the structure of the exam and how all of that works. Any general questions about the 3 hours and 10 minutes of fun time that we're about to have? Where we can go? Yes, sir. What's that? Only presumably. Only if you'd be looking at somebody else's bill list. If you have their permission, then you can probably form a small travel to your heart's content. Yeah. However that works for you. What I would recommend is that you treat the exam as best of a testing simulation as you can, because I think that'll help everybody else get as much out of the exam as they can. So, that said, I'm going to go ahead and start the formal proctoring instructions. And the one thing that you do need to know that I'm about to read to you again, and that's important, is that on LSAT test day, you can't have any food or anything else with you. Again, today, like I'm not particularly concerned about that, but on test day, it would be really big about that. You didn't have any coffee or water or anything else with you. Today, I don't care. Just be careful not to spill it on your grid, because that will make it very difficult to scan. So that's my own. Yes, sir.
Does any of this information pass on to any other organizations other than faculty?
No. So Clio is one of our national partners. We do this event with them everywhere that they organize it around the country. So this information doesn't go to anybody else. Yeah. True story. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Those entities, you're usually talking about something that is based on that whole some versus most. For example, some means one or more. Most means what? Majority. That's correct. And the LSAT will test you on your ability to recognize the difference between some and most. Can versus must. Can means it's possible. Must means has to. That's the kind of thing that you want to train yourself to notice. Okay? The LSAT loves those kinds of words. Okay? And I guess I love the LSAT, so therefore I love those kinds of words. I guess that's how you can formal logic that. Okay. So anyway, so let's look at one more example for number 5 and use our method again. We wouldn't use this because this is our previous work. So let's go ahead and redraw our list of entities. And let's take a look here at our if then. If watermelons. So yes on watermelons. Great. What does that mean? We have to have what?
Oranges.
Figs or tangerines or both. So we have to have at least one of figs or tangerines. Okay? Kind of a loose rule. We don't have really any certainties. We can't circle anything else. But we know we have to at least have one. Of figs and tangerines. Right? Yeah. Everything else still would be the same rules, and we're not sure about it. Okay? So let's take a look at must be false. The stand does not carry figs. Does the stand have to carry figs in this case? No, because it has to carry at least one. So it could carry tangerines and not figs. Same thing with B. The stand does not carry tangerines. That's not a must be false because, again, it could be at least one. Okay, everybody cool so far?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, the stand does not carry pears. Do we see that as being necessary? No? Okay. That doesn't seem to help. The stand carries pears, but not oranges. Where would we want to make sure to go here? We want to go back to what?
Chart.
Yeah, to our chart, exactly. So yes on pears and no on oranges. Is that okay? Can you be in New York but not in Manhattan? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. Okay. The stand carries pears but not tangerines. Uh-oh. Is that a problem? Yes on pears would mean what? Yes on tangerines. So do we have our must be false? We do. Okay. Yeah. Huh? Okay. Sure. The stand does not carry pears. Well, here's the thing. If it didn't carry pears for sure, then it would have been given a rule that completely eliminates pears. So, for example, we would have pears X'd out here if it did that. Since all we're doing is yes on watermelons, pears aren't affected. So they are possible, but not definite. So we can't say it must be false if you don't carry pears. It could be true. Okay? All right. Any other questions?
I guess it's going off that. Is it because you have watermelons, and we know, like, sometimes if you have watermelons, you may have oranges, which means you may have pears too, or is it...
It's a little bit, it's more just a matter of you don't want to overanalyze the remainder of the sketch, the part that's not being affected. The only thing that we can say is true on the basis of watermelons is one of these. At least one of these. That's all we can say is true. So the thing is that yes on watermelons does not affect oranges, because oranges still could exist, because we saw last time no on watermelons meant no on oranges. Yes on watermelons means maybe oranges. So the fact that you have all these maybes is the kind of thing that you want to look at maybes, but you're looking for a must-be, right? So you have all these maybes, and you're looking for a must-be. Maybes are not a must-be. So that's why E would be correct, because E directly contradicts your sketch. It says, yes on pears, no on tangerines. Can't do it. Okay? But all the rest of them are possible. And what we want to learn to do is not have to go into all of the possibilities, but then just basically say, well, I don't have for certain on this. In my list, I have not crossed out pears, I have not circled oranges, so all of those things are still possible.
I have two.
Sure.
The first one is, so for the E,
Uh-huh.
didn't we do that, the converse thing, where it's like no tangerines, we have kiwis, so then it wouldn't really contradict our sketch, because then we still have...
Well, here's the thing. It says, has pears, but not tangerines. Okay? Yes on pears means what? No on kiwis. Yes on tangerines. That's why it contradicts it.
So then why don't we write that right there?
The question asking what must be
Yeah, what must be false? So I'm not sure. What was your
Well,
question?
we can see what we did before we even drew the rule.
Uh-huh.
We did we did the second rule, which was
Mhm.
no tangerines.
Sure.
So right there it says no tangerines, and we have kiwis.
Mm-hmm.
So it says we have no tangerines.
So okay, so here's the thing though that we want to actually be concerned with. On answer choice E, it says the stand carries pears. Yes, pears, according to that, right? Answer choice E, yes, pears. So what we want to do is use our chart to see what yes pears tells us. Yes on pears tells us no on kiwis, tells us yes on tangerines.
Okay, so you don't want to go back to the old...
No. The reason why this is good to focus on is because if we try to link everything every time we had an answer choice like this, that'd be a lot of extra work. We already have them linked up, and we can say yes on pears means everything to the right. Then we know that yes on pears and no on tangerines is not possible based on our steps.
Logic.
Yeah.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Harold G. Moss. Council Member, District No. 4. December 16, 1998. To whom it may concern. I am writing this letter on behalf of Mr. George Hoyt, a young man that I have come to know and admire over the past 4 to 5 years. I met Mr. Hoyt during the time I served on the Tacoma City Council and as mayor of the city. Mr. Hoyt was chosen to represent the city's youth in Tacoma's Empowerment Zone application in 1994. During this time, Mr. Hoyt, along with city staff, community representatives, Congressman Norm Dix, and I traveled to Washington, D.C. to make the formal presentation of our application directly to Henry Cisneros, Secretary, Department of Housing and Urban Development. It was during that time I noticed George's rare gift for negotiation. He spoke with the secretary confidently, listened and demonstrated a patience far beyond his years. The secretary confidently listened and remarked about his presentation and depth of knowledge of what young people could expect from being included in the application. George continues to be active in the community. His participation has centered on his interest and skills in media projects. He's an excellent interviewer who possesses a real sense of depth and asks insightful questions. He is also involved with Strive, a youth-sponsored television program that focuses on involving young people in the direct hands-on experience of video production. I am particularly pleased with his production called Jones in the Speed Zone. The show, which was created as a result of a vision George had, is aimed at educating young people on how to deal with the issues they face. The show hopes to impact young people by showcasing their peers handling negative situations in positive ways. It is using the old adage, if you give a man a fish, he can eat for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. I take great pride in recommending him to you as a dedicated young man whom I have a lot of faith in and who has a bright future ahead of him. Should you have additional questions or would like further information, please feel free to contact me at 253-798-7590. Sincerely, Harold G. Moss, Council Member, District 4.
South, my community. Come to unity. A collective state is where you should be. Understanding all the differences of all people, no matter where they live. It's essential for us to prevail. Otherwise, the whole world will fail. Stop separating, start communicating. Then you reach the point of relating to one another. My brother, the time is now in order to recover.
Hello. I'm George Hoyt. I'm here as the spokesperson for the youth and young adult of Tacoma, Washington. I'm here to ask for your support in making Tacoma a federal empowerment zone. We often hear that our youth are our nation's greatest resource. We agree. This is our opportunity to become productive citizens and responsible taxpayers, to manage our country in the future. We need to be empowered now. We need to prepare for the jobs of tomorrow, jobs that haven't even been created yet. We have gotten to the on-ramp of the information highway through our own efforts. We got here by actual hands-on experience and exploration in the community through television and video programming. We need the tools now to get to the superhighway.
Hi, I'm Kinsey. I'm 15 and attended Wilson High School. One of our most important tools is the clipboard. Everything starts here. It's where we write down our thoughts, start storyboards, and scripts. Most important, the clipboard can take you anywhere if you know how to present yourself. A simple but powerful tool in our kit for the 21st century.
Hi, I'm Vital, now 14 years old. I'm starting high school at Stadium. This old camera lets me tell a story. I can make a difference and help other youth with it. I can show adults how kids see things and help with understanding. It is a visual tool for the information age.
My name's Samantha Stetter. I'm 17 years old and I'm working on my GED. This microphone is my power. With it I can communicate and do anything I want to in this world. In a recent Street Beat newsletter, we showed two kids that were talking. One kid said, "How do you shoot this?" And the other kid said, "You don't. You communicate with it." Communication is one answer to the violence that our country faces. We need these tools to help.
I'm Travis D. Lattimore. I'm 18, a senior at Wilson High School. Headphones. They help me keep track of how our interview is going, check out any sound and any technical trouble, and make sure all things are going well. Headphones. Simple but necessary. One of the tools we need for the information age.
Hi, I'm Keisha Baker. I'm 17 years old and I attend Wilson High School.
This computer is our vehicle's information to the superhighway. You can go anywhere around the world with it. We need to create a youth and a young adult network in Tacoma. We need your help.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm 16 and I'm a Wilson High School student. This is the edit bay at Stripe. For me, it all happens here, behind the scenes. This experience is my ticket into the next century, our century, and we need your help to do it right.
My name is Damon Brown, and I'm going to create my own job, satellite dishes. From here, we can travel almost anywhere in the world. We can communicate with other youth. We can share our concerns, talents, and ideas. Maybe one day we can find out that we're not so different from one another. We need these tools, this technology. The 21st century belongs to us. Help us prepare for it.
Many of these youth will be 21 at the turn of the century. Help us obtain the tools, the skills, and the guidance to flourish. If they succeed, our country will. We need your support.
Yes!
Back the future for you. Support the Tacoma Empowerment Zone.
Y'all, para sazonar tu vida. Latinos, amigas y amigos, escuche las palabras que te digo. Y lo estoy diciendo en español, porque tengo salsa y control.